Doors are locked, my keys are lost, I'm reeking of beer. Well, I'm not fussed, no, I've had a good night. The cheap drinks, the good friends, the bright lights. I've been out here living my nightlife. The whole time you haven't crossed my mind. And my friends said you weren't the right type. And you made it pretty clear that right. Tomorrow's headspins be alright. Cause I'm starting a new chapter. I've had enough, yeah, been enough. I've had enough, yeah, been enough, yeah, I've had you want it, I've had enough, yeah, been enough, yeah, I've had enough, yeah, been enough, yeah.
Welcome back to the fields here in Győr, Hungary. My name is Hannah Pendlebury and I am joined by the inimitable Liam Grant, who has his shirt off, enjoying the rays here. Are you, Liam?
Yeah, I didn't realize I had my shirt off till you mentioned it. I was soaking myself in water. We are playing Ultimate here in what appears to be the surface of the sun. It is incredibly hot here in Győr. That's my best impersonation of the name of this town I can come up with. But yeah, we're here in the turf fields, field 2. We're in women's power pools. We have Finland taking on Great Britain. Finland had 2 universe points wins in the group stages over Ireland and Belgium. Got to see a bit of those 2 games. I have to say they were a little bit scrappy, a little tight, as often universe point games are, but they progress into the power pools without losing a game. Took care of Ukraine quite easily. Great Britain coming in 2nd seed in their group.
How are their results, Liam?
I was going to dig it up now. I have it in front of me. Yeah, was following the other group a little more passionately as it was the Irish team. But
unsurprising there, Liam. You were sporting your home nation's shirt earlier today. This morning, Great Britain did have a win, I believe. I don't know against who, but the second half of their game against Germany, that they lost yesterday. They lost eventually 15-11, but the second half, they did manage to post up a pretty good scoreline, only losing the second half 8-7. So clearly a very talented team, some athletic players. Look out for the likes of Alice Beeching, coming out of nice Bristols. I think she would lend her ultimate down there. And, well, just plenty of players, really. But in terms of recent appearances, Saskia Kantorovic, the Giant Slayer, appeared at the European Beach Ultimate Championships. We had the pleasure of covering some of the GB mixed games down there with the team she was playing with. Excuse me, frog in my throat. In terms of the Finnish side, we have also some highly decorated players, the likes of, well, we have to talk about it first, Essi Inkinen, the Eurostar handler, fantastic throws. GB will be doing everything in their power to shut her down. Any other big players from the Finns you can see?
yeah, notable no Finnish players on the Eurostars this year. A little bit surprised about that. Would have liked to see maybe the likes of Inka Vestman step up and take that position. Maija Leino also had a great performance at the Windmill tournament earlier this year. But yeah, Finland doing well. Just got my GB results up there. They were in Group D in the women's division, which only had 3 teams. So they lost their first game to Germany 15-11, which was actually, I think, a good scoreline against the hot favourites for this division. Then took care of business 15-6 against Austria, which putting a landmark down in this women's division. A lot of people questioning this British side. They've had a lot of young players come up, but I think they're going to showcase now that they are a top side competing here to win this division.
And a bit of a fun fact for you, Katarina Rantanen, the number 4 for Finland, actually plays in the UK scene. So be interesting to see if any of the GB defenders can shut her down effectively. She plays for the club team SEK. So Leino. Nice dumping across and swinging, patient. Finds upfield Rekola. Rantanen. Leino. Oh, and an easy score. First on the board, go the Finns. Inka Vestman with just a nice reception in that far corner.
Yeah, the first of many goals I'm predicting for Inka Vestman. Can't talk about her too much. Also has a big arm on her. We saw her get some nice big backhand hooks against that Irish side. And yeah, looking at this women's power pool, you also have Switzerland in there, Italy, Belgium, who lost 15-5 to Ireland this morning. Both of them going to Universe Point in Finland, and I was expecting that to be a very tight game, but the Irish zone disrupting the Belgian side. But yeah, they're still advanced to the power pools along with Switzerland, Italy and Finland.
It was an interesting one, Leon. The Finland-Ireland game was also quite contentious by all accounts. Lots of stoppages, and the Spirit captains, I heard, became firm friends as they had to take the field quite a few times in order to help the players resolve things on the field.
Yeah, and I think that almost carried over. They had actually a spicy game at Windmill as well just a few weeks ago, their quarterfinals. A lot of people not happy with how that ended, and sometimes you can carry over that little bit of bitterness. Unfortunately, I thought there were some bad calls in the games from both sides. I won't get too much into it, but how this women's division pans out, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. I know that sounds strange, but both teams advancing to the power pools, pretty much guaranteed a spot in the bracket play.
Here we see Great Britain on the attack. Kantorovich finds Hunter on this near sideline. Wilson is available around. Hunter's committed. Oh, nearly a tip on it from the defense, but well caught. There's going to be a call though. There is a stall out. It's going to be uncontested by Hunter. So a great effort from Finland to shut down GB immediately.
Didn't have my stopwatch running on that one, but I was surprised the call that came out was a stall out. Didn't seem like 10 seconds to me. Not that I was particularly counting it, but a chance for Finland now.
Oh, Kantorovich going in for the block. Comes up empty-handed as we see this zone look from Great Britain. Coach Paul Voodoo Waite striding down this near sideline in front of our booth. Master tactician. And we see a call of match defense from the red-shirted players as Finland work it round the back nice and patiently. GB defenders on the shoulders. Fakes around. Jokinen puts up a big inside, nice grab. An immediate lefty roll curve pop. That's a beautiful throw into the space, and the score reeled in by Erika Keki.
Yeah, Finland playing like champions as there's a call in the field. So this one looks like it's going to go back, perhaps.
What's the call there, Liam? Do you have any info for us on that?
Looks like they're saying a pick, but I think it was maybe retracted now, saying that it didn't affect the play.
Yeah, you see that reaching around lefty. Wilson caught out by that one a little bit, I think. Always difficult to mark the lefties. You have to adjust your stance on the mark.
And that is classic Finnish offense there. You see that bladey around flick is something they do so well, and often throwing the receiver open. The defenders not always ready for that pass, but they need to be against this Finnish side. It's something to do time and time again.
Well, now we see a Finnish hold and then a Finnish break. So they take the lead 2-0 thus far. Nice start for the Finns. They'll be needing to be as effective as possible. Both teams with very similar size rosters. GB one fewer in terms of extra sets of legs than the Finns. On this hot 4G surface, you can step onto the field, Liam, and I'm not sure if you felt the same thing, but it seems to increase about 3 degrees extra as we reach the hottest day of this tournament, predicted to be. Temperature about 2 hours ago had already hit 35 degrees Celsius. So blistering conditions as Hyde feels the pull to Hannah Brew. Brew will love this win coming out of the Brittain scene, but doesn't find fellow Brittain teammate Meg Hurst. Near side. Teravainen will be bringing the disc in play for the Finns. Static start, resets around. Jokinen. Oh, and a bit of a drop there from Maria Martos, one of the Russians playing on this Finnish side. Certainly not a stranger to the Finnish women's ultimate scene. Obviously one of the residents, but Russian by birth. Naden puts up a floaty one that's going to sit and hang. Jokinen has a look at it, but into the hands of Brew it goes eventually. She puts up another risky biscuit. Oh, and snagged out of the sky. Abby Coman pops it up, but a little bit too hasty. Naden unable to get her claws around that one.
That was a big opportunity for the British. I can tell you right now, this Finnish side did not cough up the disc very easy. Had a short pass to try and get that upwind goal.
Better there from Martuska. Has one hand around that one. Kosovenko. Back to Martus. Nice put. This near side. Obratsova. Back to Jokinen. Hot pressure from Hyde. But disc stays in Finnish possession. But it's just a plain misfiring there. The big gloved hand goes out front but comes up short for the Finns.
So another opportunity for the British to get in as we see that incredible sky grab, which unfortunately wasn't rewarded with a goal. She was unable to punch it in, but now they go deep again.
Layout from Hannah John to keep the disc alive far side. Her first appearance for GB as she sinks it into Rachel Naden for the score. A hold for Great Britain, much needed. A little bit messy still, putting up some slightly risky shots into the wind, but effective.
Yeah, one of the young players on this GB side that's impressed me is Rupal Galani, also playing with the U24 side, I believe, the women's team. So doing double duty after this intense heat. It's going to be probably hard to pack your bags and head over to Heidelberg, where we'll be going as well. So maybe we can share a bus over there or whatnot. I know you're going home, I believe, Hannah.
I am. Unfortunately, I have to go back to my normal day job. They haven't quite figured out how to pay me to talk about Ultimate full-time yet. But it'll be good to go home, maybe do some laundry. As we see GB cleaning up their offense for that point. Something that's been really surprising me, Liam, thus far is just the number of really just unforced errors from Finland. They've had a drop clap catch, sort of a disc bounce out of the palm. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they had 2 turnovers in the last point. That was the first 2 of the game. I don't think they'll be doing that very often in this game. But I think they have not the biggest roster and rely on a lot of players that as this tournament progresses, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose 1 or 2 games and still end up in the final or something along those lines to see another vagrant pass.
Yeah, stumble there from the intended target, Vestman, unable to regain her composure. Inkinen puts the arm up. Does she get enough on it? Yeah. Play happening behind the sideline who stood in front of us.
Yeah, that just a rushed pass to Laura Van Krijken, and you're kind of pinging this at her when you're going downwind like that, wind going left to right somewhat, been changing a lot as the day goes on. You want to put it out there a little bit of touch, allow her to run onto it rather than trying to ping it at her going downwind.
Reunanen finds a running Rekola. Lovely touch on that flick in front of Inkinen. Versman into Rantanen. GB fall back into a match set on their defense. Oh, and a pass a little bit too low, escapes Essie Inkinen. GB with an opportunity now to get that break back. You see Fiona Kwan, I believe one of the players. Oh, and a big shot goes up. Just a little bit too far. Great bid from Alice Hanton, but not to be this time.
I thought she had it initially. Looked like she was going to run onto it with ease, but then it just kind of dropped at the last second. That the right style of huck, I feel, anyway, going to that downwind side. I always say if you're going to throw downwind, make sure it lands in the end zone with those hucks. So always a chance to run onto it, but Yeah, that one kind of just dropped at the last second. It's Eakin with a drop of her own, but in the point, I don't expect her to do it twice.
So Westman, GB using that zone once more. Leno. Good movement between the handlers. Blanton crashing that cup. Good swinging, nice penetration through, but Kantorovic cleans up with a run-through block. So Wilson to pick up. Puts a round very, very into the space. Ian Sham goes to ground. Seems to be a foul call there on the mark, though.
Looks like an uncontested foul from Etienne on the mark. Did look like it came out a little strange. I think the defense has been very good from Great Britain. They're hustling hard, there's pressure on every throw, but their offense has looked rushed itself in a bad way. They just need to tidy it up as they do now.
Kwan on the goal line. Centres it to Wilson. Around to Hanton. Chooses the inside, finds Kantorovic, and that's a nice score. Break back to be on serve. GB and Finns tied at 2.
Yeah, good to see Fiona Kwan on the line there. Probably one of the most experienced players on this GB women's side. I believe one of the captains of Iceni this year.
I'd have to fact check that one, but she might be. She certainly has been in the past.
I'm going to roll with that as good as a fact. I'm pretty sure that's true. I believe she's sister of Jen Kwan on the Irish side. Again, I'm going off the memory with this, but yeah, fantastic player. You can see her there, had the disc, made the big fake, then led the swing continuation as you see here, and that just shows her experience. I think too many times GB have been rushing that first option. They have a lot of great athletes on their team. The easy throw will come, and a nice inside flick there. Classic end zone offense.
And we've got some excellent fake facts for GB women, trying to put off the commentary team. Apparently Fiona Kwan is the youngest member of the team, which she definitely isn't. Not to say she's old by any means, at the tender age of 27. But as you say, Liam, very experienced player, getting GB G'd up in their circle. They're talking about being oak trees. Something probably to do with the wind, as we see a fabulous block there from the number 14, Victoria Wilby.
Would you go as far as say it was a tremendous block?
Tremendous block indeed, Liam. So Kwan picking up the disc, fakes that big backhand around, sinks it into this near corner of the end zone, reeled in by the hands of Layla Denniston. But there's a call on the field.
That's been called pick there, which disc was in the air by the time there was contact. I think the GB player is entitled to hold their position. She was running towards the disc as well. Again, very difficult to throw over Vestman.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Vestman is a very big player, so there's a possible argument for saying she could have caught up some space and made a play, but it's going to be called good. The goal will stand. GB now up 1 break on Finland.
Yeah, I think there's just almost frustration from Vestman. She felt she was going to be able to make a bid, but there's just a GB player in the way. The disc was ready in the air. That GB player is entitled to keep that space. I don't think she was trying to intentionally obstruct. She was kind of running towards the disc as well, so she's very much entitled to keep that space. It was almost like she was boxed out by one of the GB players, but that's just where she was, and unfortunately Vestman has to go around. She can't go through her. So I'm not sure if she's going to make a bid in either. That was a brave throw to put it up over Vestman, who has to be one of the best receivers and defenders in Europe. Just downfield, she's head and shoulders pretty much above the whole entire GB team.
Oh yeah, in stature, certainly. She is a big player and an absolute unit, as you say, on both offense and defense. I was so impressed watching the Ireland-Finland game just for a wee while. I caught the ending moments of that game, and obviously was so very tight. Westman was just getting layout blocks all over the field. Whenever there was a disc to be snaffled up, she was there. Such a good defender. But still very early stages in this women's pool play match. I think, Leah, maybe we find out what the impact of this game will be in terms of standings and both of these teams' journey towards that final bracket.
Yeah, so they're in the power pool stages at the moment. 2 power pools and 1 not so powerful pool in the women's division. But majority, except everyone bar the team that comes last in the not so powerful pool, makes bracket play. If you win the pool, which I feel it's likely going to be Finland and Germany who's going to win this pool, they go straight into the quarters while everyone else has to play a pre-quarter. So I think for someone like Finland, if they can do that with a shorter roster, especially compared to Germany, that'd be a benefit to them. But I think everyone's expecting Germany to top this power pool.
Well, in terms of this game, GB have the potential to cause an upset to that prediction in terms of it being a battle between Germany and Finland. But I believe the pool play losses and wins are carried over into power pool play. Is that correct, Liam?
I do believe so. So I think their Germany victory for Finland carries over. And gonna dig up my stat sheet again. The GB win, was it against Austria? That I don't think carries over.
Well, we will find out the facts for you as this game develops. Plenty of time left on the clock as we see Annie Jokinen even on the disc. Vestman going down to try and keep the disc alive for her team, but that one just drizzles itself into the rubber crumb here. Of course, this surface not the best in heat.
I'd argue it's the best in heat. If that's
no, not the best in heat. It's the issue of the rubber crumb absorbing. And we see GB telegraph in a throw. Hannah John there trying to find, I think it was Rupal Galani, smacked out of the air. So Finns back with the disc. Vestman in the deep space. Inkinen working with the handler set to try and penetrate this zone that GB are putting on right now. Nice reach out from Rekola. Nice and patient, Jokinen. Force changing as the GB sideline echoes home and away. Call on the field. We see again that attempt at a high release flick from Hannah John. Not as effective as she would have hoped, as we see Rantanen go deep. Has Galani on the shoulder, but that's a great play from Leila Denniston. Coming in and using that arm, going over the top, causing all kinds of mischief for the offense of Finland. Hannah John to Denniston, who goes out with a layout bid, but just a little bit too far. Hannah John, known affectionately as Johnny, also plays for the club team SIK, as we mentioned before, with her teammate Kat Rantanen playing for Finland right now. Not having the best of starts to her game. So we see Galani or Rantanen, she's going to put it out into space for Inkinen, knocking on the door of the end zone. Dishes it out into the space to a streaming Rakel Sariola. And that's a score for Finland. They hold their offense after being broken twice in a row by Great Britain. Getting a bit of a gasp of fresh air.
Yeah, this game all tied up now. Looking at other results in this group earlier, Switzerland got a big win over Belgium, 15-13. Some people are surprised with that. We also had some other surprising results today. Russian men beating Italian men 15-11. But a game going on right now in the mixed division, which is surprising. Italy mixed up 5-1 against France mixed, one of the favorites to win the mixed division. So all going down here at the European Ultimate Championships 2019. But it is our previous winners, Finland, taking on GB, who I think finished 7th last time at EUC. Came in as 7th seed anyway. I think there may have been some adjustments with how the pots were selected somewhat randomly by the EUF.
Well, it's difficult to see tournaments such as these. So many teams have a big turnover in terms of their roster since Europeans back in 2015 in Copenhagen. And of course we had the World Guts Championships the following summer, which was a wee bit wet and windy. But thankfully on finals day, the sunshine was out and it was glorious in the Saracen Stadium, I think it was, if I recall from memory. So Great Britain with some upwind offense right now. Talking about the wind, we've got a bit of a cross pitch from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the fields. We see Hunter going deep immediately. Avril, one of the many ultimate Frisbee twins. Her sister Gail not playing quite so much this season, but I'm sure she'll be watching. So hello to you, Gail. Both of those two playing on the under-20s side a few years ago. Hyde, centre of the field, puts it across, but into the hands of the waiting Ferke Elenius.
I'm trying to think of who had some of the best twins in ultimate. Certainly the Cardenas sisters is ones that spring to mind initially. Any other famous twins in your memory?
Famous twins? I don't know. I know many on the domestic scene. There's the Wilson clan. They're not actually twins, but there's 3 of them playing ultimate. Lots of Frisbee families. We have one of the international Frisbee families, one of the members thereof, in front of us, the scorekeeper, the wonderful Luke Tobiachevich. There's many siblings playing Frisbee, and with their partners, they can create almost an entire team. So that's a great piece of offense for Finland while we were busy talking about ultimate siblings and twins. But they get a break back on Great Britain. We are on serve, 2 breaks each, as it gets hot and exciting here in this women's power pool play match.
Yeah, you see Finland have just a way of winning games by tight margins, which is what I've seen so far in this tournament. As I said earlier, winning against Ireland and Belgium on Universe Point. I think sometimes they're happy training. Those trade out and they have a lot of confidence in themselves that when it gets to the business end, even if it's tied up, they can win those Universe Points. They can score the last 2 goals or get a lead just at the end, and that's Essie Inkinen racking up another assist. Plenty in this tournament so far.
Oh, I think she got the hockey assist there, as we see the lovely aforementioned Tobiachevich sibling.
I was going for the more English pronunciation of Tobizovic.
Tobizovic, yeah, that's true. Most people call him that, but I decided I was going to learn many years ago. I think I almost have it. Not quite. My Polish pronunciation still needs a little bit of polishing, but it is often quite difficult to get our lips around some of the less familiar names to us native English speakers. But Great Britain's O-line back out on the field. Downwind offense this time, as we see Sophie Wharton coming under as the initial movement. Hannah John, centre of the field. There's a strip call, uncontested, by the mark of Mira Koskenvoa, sorry. You can see there the white glove slapping the disc out of the hand. Sham, a little squat catch there, favouring the short look that you're seeing out of Look Fly. But of course here the sponsors of this tournament for the apparel are the Russian Lucky Grass ultimate supplier. Lovely stash in the tent right now from them. Nice. There's the high release flick of Hannah John. Comes good that time, as you see Sophie Wharton close to the goal line, fakes the around, and Lucy Hyde, isolated in the front line, gets a stat on the board for Great Britain, tying it back up at 4s.
Yeah, classic ISO offense there, just allowing Hyde to have the space in the front of the stack and just bobbing and weaving, eventually getting free. Good patience from GB. And yeah, hanging with his Finnish side at the moment. I think me and Ravi, who have a Eurozone podcast, hadn't initially picked GB to make the semis, and we had our picks contest, and they were one of the favourites to win the competition coming out of that. So really made me doubt myself, and actually the more I think about it now and see these Great Britain side take to the field, they actually are a very good team. I think it's just because we've seen such a transition or turnover of players, but if you get how strong the GB Ultimate scene is, it's pretty much one of the biggest communities in Europe, if not the biggest. So they have such depth that, you know, a lot of players can leave the women's national team and there's the same level of players right there to come and step up and take charge.
It's quite nice also to see, Liam, the different varieties of club teams that the GB side has come from this season. Oftentimes in years past, it was lots of familiar faces from Club European Championships of pretty much all the same players on the dominant London club Iceni. But it's great to see it more spread round as we see a beautiful big huck to Maya Leno. Normally seems to be sat in the back handler spot, so maybe she snuck away there.
She also plays golf and basketball, Maya Leno. You feel when some of these Finnish players, particularly their big receivers, do look like basketball players or have that kind of ability to grab stuff high in the air. And that's kind of the Atletico offense, or Finnish offense I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, lovely deep shot. And I think Leno was sat in the handler spot, especially based on the fact that she was being marked by Sham, one of the fellow GB handlers for the D-line. But there we go, nice and easy, straight out the blocks. Come Finland, trading this game at the moment 5-4. As you already mentioned, Liam, Finland, the whole reigning champions coming into this European Championship.
Yeah, and silver medalists at Windmill just a few weeks ago. Looking to take home gold yet again, defend their title at this event. Interesting to note, they did lose their first game at EUC last time to the Irish team.
Oh, and there's a costly error from the GB handlers. Disc way too low for Hannah Broops to be able to scoop up with the clap catch. Maiden on the mark gets broken around, but Hannah Brew is there to pick it off. Option deep for Wilson. But unfortunately, Nathan had just come under as the disc was released. Again, GB miscuing on their offense.
Rachel Leyland should know that Brew's going to send that. There's no coming back around under. Once you go deep, Brew is very happy to send it, particularly going down when I think it was a good throw, a good option, but just not on the same wavelength there with Nathan.
And so Finland off to the races, hungry for another break. So we see a pick downfield. It's suspiciously free. Annie Jokinen. Jokinen, big defender, all about the layout Ds and inside out hucks. And there we see an inside shot, sailing over so many players, but up goes the long arm of Megan Hurst, sporting a very fetching rainbow headband. Oh, big pressure. Naden gets it, but there's going to be an injury call. Jokinen going to the ground pretty hard, bashing herself. Asking for some ice here on the 4G field. Not sure she'll be in luck. I think any ice that would appear anywhere near this field's going to melt very quickly, as you see another recap of that beautiful catch there in traffic.
Jani Jokinen coming off the field, actually studies business and marketing, but she is replaced by number 52.
62, that's Silla Furke Elenius. Oh, I take it back. You're right, Liam.
Yeah, they are the golfing gloves of Mira Koskanevo.
Oh, and a nice little piece of offense there. Avril Hunter using her speed and laser sharp turns. Can you have something that's laser sharp? Lasered to be sharp.
Well, I feel like we're being lasered by the sun at the moment as it beats down on us. I took a short walk to the shop there earlier, and this is maybe half a kilometer, and I was spent by the time I got there. So fair play to these players for staying out there running hard. watching the stream, you probably don't realize how baking hot it is. The Great British Bake Off happening here as they take on the finish. You a fan of that show?
I am a fan of that show. Not religiously so. I have casually watched a few episodes. It's not the same in its new version though, Liam, I have to say. Without Mel and Sue, it's just not quite right in my view.
Isn't it Noel Field? Is that the what?
Noel Fielding, yes. Yes, indeed.
Obviously a big Mighty Boosh fan, as we all should be. But what's your take on him joining the presenting? I don't watch the show.
It's different. It's different, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good different. So a timeout call there, with this one tied up at 5 apiece. But yes, in terms of to just pick up on your little reference to the Mighty Boosh there, which I think should definitely be used more in terms of referencing big hucks. That's a Mighty Boosh. But I believe the origination of that show's name was Noel Fielding's brother, I think, who plays one of the characters in the Mighty Boosh. He had a friend who always used to say, "You've got a Mighty Boosh," in terms of haircuts. So there you go. But we briefly mentioned, so talking about all these, thankfully the teams have filled in wonderful fact sheets for us to give us a bit more insight into their play. We saw Megan Hurst sporting a rainbow-coloured headband. What's that one all about, Liam?
Yeah, it is in honour of our club team's LGBT plus group. We are based in the gay capital of the UK, is what she says. I didn't know they had an official capital, but great to see them represented. We also had the Rainbow Brigade, a team that came to Windmill, and also I think provided in I would say a camp or a talk on LGBT community and inclusivity. Something you've seen happen quite a lot in US Ultimate, but it's great to see something like that happen in Europe.
Indeed, one of the most hotly anticipated teams at Windmill were the Rainbow Brigade. It's fab to see them taking the field with a nice international flavour, including some North Americans. Actually founded by a gentleman, Cooper, playing for a not quite nationals level US club team. So, Finland on the attack. There's a signal for a foul call there, it looks like. Hyde on the mark. Let's chat with Essi Inkinen. Inkinen, of course, plays for the very famous club, as you say, the gold medalist from EUCF back in 2017, Atletico.
Didn't attend EUCF last year with a focus on the World Ultimate Club Championships, where they had a good outing there.
Indeed they did, Liam. And so Inkinen far side. Has Vestman coming under. Gonna take it. Ooh, Layla Denniston falling to the floor, putting all of her momentum to try and get a run through. Great athleticism. Disc goes up, but it's gonna sail out of bounds. Hot pressure from the players in red.
Yeah, I don't think that one ever came inbounds again, so it's likely to be taken quite far up on the sideline. So good pressure from Great Britain. I think that's a good thing, trying to force Vestman under, make her take the big shots. Now, she definitely is going to put them, but maybe doesn't have the same prowess as Essi Inkinen in terms of executing those deep shots. Inkinen with 2 assists so far in the game.
Edika Keki, currently the leader on the stats board for Finland, and she's been found in the end zone 3 times. So we see Hannah Brew fielding the disc back into play. Marked by Rekola. Moving nicely across. Someone yelling, "It's Hex." So Felix Chardlow will be pleased to see that. Bit like you, Liam. You get quite excited when you see Hex being played, don't you? As we see an injury call. Oh, there's a clutch of the ankle there. Can't quite spot who that is.
I'm both excited and frustrated. I didn't spot it immediately when it was happening. Thanks for pointing that out, Hannah. I was too busy looking at my message from one of our co-commentators, David Price, one of the other great commentators coming out of Britain confirming that Fiona Kwan, yes, is one of the captains of Iceni this year. Thanks very much for confirming that.
Yes, I'm sure we have lots of fans at home with their eyes on this game. Hello to you if you are watching here on the EUF stream on YouTube or Facebook. We're bringing you coverage all week long as we reach the business end of this tournament. Nice grab, far side from Wharton, puts it up to Sham. High grab, and that is a break for Great Britain. They take a lead once more, 6-5.
Yeah, that's a huge upwind break, something we haven't seen either team do in quite some time. They want to come back out and try and bang in another goal if they can, going downwind. And a little more on Megan Hurst. I just read that she actually donated her hair twice to the Little Princess Trust in the UK, and she's currently growing it to do it again.
That's an excellent endeavour to do. If you are one of those people that is able to grow long, luscious locks, the Princess Trust will, if you're willing to cut it all off and donate it to them, they will make wigs for young, I think specifically young girls that are suffering from cancer and any other illness that means that they have lost their natural hair. So clearly a very generous individual indeed, as we see a lovely high grab. Yeah, Sham coming out of Exeter University. I remember when she first sort of came to the women's club scene, played for Devon Women for a brief while, I think, but talk a bit more about SICK, the women's club team in the UK, done a fantastic job of really bringing forward a number of players. Their coaching system, I think they have Marisol, who's a French player now based in the UK, and oh gosh, the name's going to escape me now. It's James, but I can't remember his surname. Burbage, there you go, James Burbage, the other coach of SICK. But fabulous way to really develop players in the women's ultimate scene. But to flip our attention back to the Finns, talking about Atletico, there are a number of players on this roster who play for that club side, so those connections very well honed at this point.
I do believe my friend Tim Morrill was out there doing some strength and conditioning work with the Finnish side, I think about 6 months ago. They've been training hard for this tournament. And I think the real winner European Ultimate this year is either the 5-panel hat, or more than likely is the short shorts. And I mean short shorts, shorts that are actually short. For too long we've been playing Ultimate in these baggy basketball style like shorts that catch your knees as you're running. It's good to see what I would say normal shorts to me anyway, coming from a Gaelic football background where they are, you know, suitable for running in, which is something we do quite a lot in our sport. So that's been the greatest, I think, success in Ultimate in the last year.
Nothing to do with the actual plays, just the frisbee fashion. Well, fashion always comes around in cycles, Liam, and at various tournaments. My favourite to see, I've never tried it myself, but my favourite to see is the cut-off jean shorts, the jorts, which I'm not understanding why anyone would wish to play that Ultimate in those, especially if they were playing on this field, which is now being, well, it's being blessed with a bit more of a breeze for us, certainly. I'm sure it's not great for the players, but yeah, sweating in jorts does not sound like the one.
I don't know, fashion over function comes into play at certain tournaments, but it's all about the top players here in this Powerpools Women's Division matchup. Finland taking on Great Britain.
Yes, Bestman. Nice movement upfield as we get to halfway. Great Britain calling once again, transitioning into match defense. Jokinen into Leino. Near sideline, Vestman stretches out that pivot, gets big. Rantanen. She's going to throw a backhand of her own. It's going to sail over the intended target. Oh, nearly gets a recatch, does Leino, off the back of Layla Denniston. But once more, Denniston getting up in the mixer, causing Finland's offense some troubles. Big put going to Rupal Galeni. Has Avril Hunter in the space, chooses that option. Can she get there? Oh, sliding bid. Looks like the disc just tailed away to the left-hand side, so she couldn't make the full stretch layout. Yeah, you can see it just dying there to the left of her. Tries to slide around. Great idea, but good chase from Vestman, putting the pressure on Avril Hunter.
Avril Hunter now playing for Iceni, I believe, or she did a spell at Reading as well.
Avril Hunter, she's played for quite a few teams. She was playing with, at Junction 7, the last UKU ranking event, she was playing with Leeds, being a key player for them. I'm actually going up against some of her fellow teammates, actually. Lucy Hyde taking a win at that tournament. Denniston in the end zone, and that's a nice, easy catch. GB with 2 breaks in a row. We've seen the Finns claw it back from that before, but that's a great performance. Converting the defensive block to take a 2-point lead.
GB looking to cause an upset here. Dennison with her second goal. Kind of only one of the few players with a lot of height on this GB women's team. It's nice to have that option just to send someone into the end zone, put it up. And a great read there. Currently the only GB player with 2 goals scored. Stats well spread out otherwise.
Although Sophie Wharton with 2 assists to her name, which is fab to see. Known more of as a defensive undercutter and receiver, rather than necessarily a big throwing unit.
Shout out to my good friend Milan, who's brought us some ice. Check out ultileague.net for some big announcements. I believe he's putting together a mixed league. You can check that out. Maybe we'll see some of these players on the field participating.
Indeed, a new format and very exciting. Go to ultileague.com for all the details there, as Milan now opens up a bag of ice over himself in celebration, just off of your screen. So Maya Leno on the disc finds Jokinen to Inkinen, but she's going to put it far too far out in front, zippy and low. There's a pick call in the stack, but not going to have any impact on that play, so the turnover will stand.
GB have a chance to take half here if they can score. That would be huge.
Wonder if we can get a shot of far sideline. Coach, one of the coaches, Callum Spears, in a glorious sun hat. So, Wharton. Near side, Kwan upfield. Big fakes. Lasers it up to Wilby. Has Hyde for the reset. To Kwan. Lots of options. That's going to sit and hang in the space and can be fielded much better by Finland.
Yeah, Kwan doing well to break the mark early in that point, advancing up the field. That was a chance for an upwind break to take half. Shot to the end zone, it was hanging in the air, and that's one thing you don't want to do with it against this Finnish side. I think they always have the height mismatch against the British. They want to continue their small, zippy, quick play.
Well, also, that's the corner from which the wind is directly blowing. And so you could sort of see, as soon as Kwan released that disc, just the shaping on it was sort of looking like it was the sort of disc that was always going to sit and hang. And as you say, you can't really afford to make those options against the Finns. They will punish you for them. Inkinen on the disc, a bit of contact between Naden and Jokinen.
I'm almost surprised you got Inkinen being forced backhand there, Vestman downfield. Two players, they know each other all too well. I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up hawking to Vestman.
Well, it's a great bailout option, if nothing else. As soon as you get to store 9, if Vestman's downfield, it's a pretty good option for a launch. Finland being given the deep space. There's a very sneaky Erika Keki. Fakes a vicious backhand. Pick call. But Kwan giving Keki a very big buffer deep. Very surprised to see that. She's been pretty effective for this Finnish offense thus far. 3 scores to her name. So she's definitely a player that they're going to throw it to you. Jokinen managed to catch the bobble in the wind. And that's a beautiful little piece of work. Number 7, Erika Keki with another stat on the board. That is 4 scores for her.
Yeah, and the GB side be ruined. They missed that upwind break. That would have been a huge 3-point lead going into half. But now they'll be going downwind, looking to tie it up, or at least, sorry, to take half and have that 2-point cushion. It'll be the Finnish side looking to take this to Galaxy Point. An opportunity we'd all love to compensate on, one of our favorite things in the game. Either way, it will be the British side starting offense in the second half. So Callum Spears also was coach of the women's beach team, I believe, as well.
He certainly was. He was there with his floppy sun hat and clipboard in hand. That Great Britain beach squad in the women's division, very much a development team. Some younger, slightly fresher players. There's a lot of ultimate to be played this season. Lots of players picking up double duty. Mentioned a couple, Saskia Kantorowicz, featuring on the GB mixed beach side, as did her teammates plural, Rachel Naden and Helen Roberts, also on that team. Just having a quick glance down their roster sheet to see if there's anyone I missed, but I think that was it for the mixed side at EBUC just 2 short months ago. Exciting to see Laura van Krijken there on their roster sheet. Player out of the Brixton club. And we see a beautiful running through block for Maria Martos. So Finland with an opportunity to claw back one of the breaks that GB earned during a 3-point run to take us from 5-4 to 5-7. Jokinen, she's going to launch it, big rolling backhand. Lots of players underneath it, and who else but Layla Denniston getting the block. Foul's going to be, well, there's going to be a call on the play. But Erika Keki realising the disc was probably a little bit too high to be in contention for her to catch it. And once again, Denniston getting a lovely block to her name. Big fake from Hannah Brew, throws the inside to Galani. To Denniston, has Westman covering. And she tumbles to the floor in the hope of a layout block. Into Coman. To Galani. One-handed grabs, flying into the turf. And Ian Shah manages to initially make good contact with the disc, but has her hands poorly placed to keep possession. You can see just the underneath hand slipping as she tumbles to the ground. So Jokinen has an option available up line. Beautiful sitting pass. Keki is going to launch a disc of their own into the end zone, but it's picked off by Galani. Has Coman in front, but chooses not to take that shot. Centers it into the middle of the end zone for Hannah Brew.
Who is entirely not marked, which is interesting to see. Almost a Japanese-style defense there, not putting any pressure on the person with the disc.
I like to refer to that one as Mazel Tov. That particular defensive look. It's confused many a experienced ultimate player. Wilson puts it up, floats on the far sideline, snagged out of the air by Galani. Has Sham putting her arms in the air, that's going to be snagged away by Keki. Finland with an opportunity now to even things back up. Keeley to Jokinen, who's going to call a timeout. Good central field position. Wilson indicating that it will come back in on 1.
I mean, a shout from the sideline that there was no timeouts left. I'm not sure if they'd used all their timeouts yet. Or if they're just discussing when it's coming in after timeout, I'm still not sure.
I think it's coming in because as it's yep, so the play will play on with no timeouts left in this half. Finland will have 2 added to the stall count as a penalty for the, well, just not realising they didn't have any timeouts left right at this moment.
Yeah, one of the few things you actually get penalised for in the game of Ultimate, usually not penalised for many things.
And it is called good on the field for Yle Kili. Finland levelling it back up with a break of their own. They're now trailing behind, as we've already mentioned. Great Britain will receive the disc on offense coming into the second half, but they gnaw a hole in GB's lead to bring the score back to evens.
Yeah, this is Galaxy Point now, if I'm not incorrect. One
Right,
of
you
our
are.
favorite things.
One of your favourite things, Liam.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my. It's one of everyone's favorite things. And now, well-known phrasing in the Ultimate community, loved by all.
Remembered by all, except me, clearly.
Yeah, so calling a timeout when you have none left is one of the few things you get penalised for adding 2 to the stall count. Also, if you are offside multiple times on the pull, you can get penalised for that. So it's one of the things in the rule of Ultimate where it says that, you know, nobody's intentionally breaking the rules and therefore we don't try to penalise people. So I don't know how I feel about stuff like that, that calling a timeout when you don't have one.
I think it's less of a truly being penalised and more of a just a good incentivization to keep to the rules of the game.
You should be a politician, Hannah, if you're going to spin that one around. But
it's all about being democratic. It's all about being democratic, Liam. Gets results. So, as I cut you off there, Liam, yep, we've got our first turnover of this Galaxy Point. Maija-Leino to Rantanen. Doesn't like what she sees upfield. Good fakes. Back to Leino. Travel called by Hannah Brew. Some of the players stopping upfield. Inkinen, opportunity to take this half. Has Rantanen grinding towards that far corner of the end zone. And that's a score for Finland. They take half, 8-7 in emphatic fashion.
Yeah, it's the finish to become the guardians of the Galaxy Point. SC Inkinen, who else did you expect? They were so close to being 8-5 down going into half. GB had the disc, but now it's 8-7. Finland take the lead in the half, so we're back on serve. Finland, you just can never count them out. When the pressure's on, they just step up to the plate. And they knew if GB had broke to score earlier, they would be going out on offense. It would have been a big lead to try and get back in the second half. So they clawed back, put out their top players, their studs, were able to get them back on serve, and that's in the position they want to be. They're happy now. If it's a 1-point game, whether they're +1 or -1, they know if they can stay this tight going into the business end, they have the experience to win this game.
And so as we see both players retreating to what shade there is on the far side of the field, there's Caitlin Wilson there striding with her water bottles to go join the rest of her team. Finland in the lead, 8-7. We'll take a short break during this half. We'll be back with you with more action very, very soon. as Luke Tobiaszewicz brings the whistle to his lips to signal 1 minute remaining of this 7-minute-long half-time. We are back, and we have some interesting results from the mixed division. There's an exciting, spicy game going on that's not being live streamed, Liam. Tell us more about this news.
Yeah, we have Italy mixed up against France mixed 10-4. I announced earlier it was 5-1, so they're still keeping that lead, even gaining on it. I know Ravi, we talked about on the podcast before, he says never been a good Italian mixed team. Well, there is one right now, taking on heavy favourites France, giving them a real good battle there. I imagine France are going to come back into the game at some stage, but
I don't know, 10-4 down, that's quite a mountain to climb, a 6-point deficit against what sounds like a pretty handy Italian mixed team.
Yeah, but looking now at this two teams here, champions Finland, looking at Inka Westman. She actually works as a sports nutritionist and in the field of innovation specialist. Interesting to see what nutrition they're taking in this heat, whether they're getting some electrolytes or bananas or something like that, or I'm sure just you see a lot of them soaking themselves with a wet towel on the head, which has been very popular here. I see a lot of teams dipping towels in buckets of ice and putting them on their heads when they're on the sideline, which sounds delightful at the moment.
It's a strong look as well, you know, you've got the kind of the head cape effect going on, draped over you. It's a good way to stay cool though. I'm a big fan personally of the spray bottle, mostly because of the mischief you can have spraying people unexpectedly with icy, ice cold water. But all very much still to play for in this women's power pool play game. As we see Denniston off to the races, into the space she goes. A nice run down just shy of the end zone, is it? Oh no, call good by the defense. That's a great bit of spirit there from Maya Martus. And a score for Layla Denniston. Straight out of the blocks go Great Britain to tie this game up back to 8.
Yeah, you see them looking to one of the GB coaches on the sideline who was kind of standing at the end zone and get called in, almost acting as a game advisor observer there. Everyone happy to trust him. I think he was in the best position to decide whether that was in or out. And you can see there, Denniston is just such a big deep threat for this GB side. I think they're taking away the under there, Finland. I think else that's maybe a good idea, but Denniston, you got to back her, take away the deep option. Yeah, and that is, I think, the correct call. She was in bounds, her right foot landing in. And she's got a long stride, you can see from that. I don't know if she was actually, that's how long her stride is, or she was actually intentionally jumping into the end zone.
Probably a little column A, a little column B. But what I really liked most about that play was the way Denniston set up her cut, sort of really aggressively ran towards the defender, put them on the back of the heels, and then just powered off deep. Talking about staying cool, Denniston is completely and utterly soaked. Looks like she's poured an entire Nalgene's worth of water over herself ahead of this second half. As we see a zone look from Great Britain. Coleman being pulled across to the side by the mid players of the Finnish side. Rantanen. Central field position for the Finns. Westman near sideline. Nice back into Leino. Up that line goes Raunanen. Has Westman available on the around shot, but chooses not to test the force of Hurst. Rekola. Match is called by Great Britain as they transition. Leino with the disc again. Raunanen. To Rantanen. To Westman. Oh, and Leino puts the jets on, but Westman's deciding to be more conservative. Finland need to hold this. Leino surveys the field. It's going to have Westman under. Nice high release backhand over the shoulder of the mark. Westman again. Finland looking very conservative, but this is excellent hander defense. Sam Fisk so close to getting the block. Shuts down the around, but exposes the inside channel for the backhand. Inkinen Disc in hand, has Rantanen available. It's going to be big, but unfortunately she cannot get there. Not enough speed in the legs, and the disc dying on the near side of the end zone.
That's a throw you usually expect SC England to make, and that was kind of the throw that I think GB were baiting. They were not giving them any space down the open side, wanting them to try and get an around break. Saw Vestman in the stack, didn't really move at all that entire possession. Stack looking a little tired from the finish.
So Hannah Brew with the disc in hand, getting us underway for Great Britain's D-line. Hunter goes down to the ground, but the disc hits the floor first. Possession back in the hands of Finland, see what they can make of it this time. Vestman isolated, she's going to go deep immediately. Hunter peels off the back of the stack, but she's a big target. It's Vestman, a little bubble, but makes it secure, gets the body underneath, and that's a score for the Finns. They lead by 1, 9-8.
Yeah, I'm surprised that option hasn't happened more in this game. You saw that last possession, Finland really struggling to grind out the unders. When you have Inkinen and Vestman, I think that's your first option. Send Vestman deep. You see there another GB player peeling off. Even if you don't send it to her, just the threat of her alone is going to create space for someone else. You see peeling off the back of the stack, another British player, but can really do nothing about it. She ends up not taking it down as she bobbles it, but had she caught on the first attempt, I don't know if there's anyone on this GB side who can compete with her in the air. Maybe Dennison, who seems to be playing offense predominantly, though.
Yeah, when you've got players like that who can connect in such indomitable style, it's so, as you say, Liam, very, very hard to shut down.
I think just as well for the Finnish offense, you don't actually have to hit it, but just the threat of Vestman going deep, you're probably going to get an easy under off someone else as well.
Exactly, and it's the thing that makes that most disheartening for GB's defense is the fact that it sort of was, you know, already written sort of, writ large on the back of the end zone. That's what they were looking for initially with that isolation of Vestman outside of their horizontal stack. But GB's O-line, by no means defeated. Big put from Wilson. Lots of bodies going to be under that one. But great read from Finland. Sudaka with the defensive play. Far side. Ulakili. Back to Jokinen. To Martos. Two players cutting so hard, just tearing up this rubber crumb. Oh, nice reaching grab from Jokinen.
Martos, according to her player survey, is a doctor of daydreaming.
Excellent stuff. Oh, and it sails over the reaching hands of Rachel Naden, but into the palms of Erika Keki. She picks up a 5th stat, responsible for now half of the Finnish scores in this match. They get a lead. Now I think
it's clear there's big differences in how these two teams play. You see the GB stats quite spread out between the team. This is a role-playing team, this Finnish side. You see SC England 4 assists, no goals. Keki, as you said, 5 goals, no assists. So they have very distinct roles. They know what their job is on the team. And GB again turning over pretty early with that deep shot. That's not what they want to do. They want to grind down this Finnish side, work the unders. I think they have maybe better fitness and better in those small spaces. And just drifting over the head there. And good read from Finland.
so a bit of a heartbreaker for Great Britain's O-line as they trail 8-10. They'll need to respond now for a hold to keep this one alive. Both teams have had little moments of defensive glory. We saw Finns coming out of the blocks offensively holding and then taking a break just to set the tone of the match. Great Britain then with a 3-point unanswered run in that first half. A hold and a break back from the Finns. And as we say, they looked very, very pretty indeed when they went up to GB 7-5, but couldn't quite close out that half. Finland responded with 2 breaks of their own, but Kwan on the disc. all still to play for as we see a pit call on the field.
Yeah, it seems only moments ago that GB were 7-5 up, looking to take the half. Now find themselves trailing by 2.
It's been a game of swings of momentum, Liam. We'll have to wait to see who eventually comes out the victor. John getting low with her pivot. Lofty release point on that backhand. Eventually finds Naden. Call upfield. Seems to be a stall out. I think that may be contested by the looks of the discussion.
Some other results from around the fields currently happening. Ireland women up 8-3 against France. Italy mixed still up 10-6 now against France. Belarus mixed trailing 8-11 to the Swiss. Other results, Ireland men up 8-7 against Belgium men.
Anything could happen in any of those games. Nice to see the French mixed team maybe coming back against Italy. Oh, and that's a fabulous grab from Alice Hanton. Takes a mouthful of crumb. Lucy Hyde going up high with 2 hands and launching an inside flick. Can Naden lay it? And that's a great layout score. Fabulous work to keep the disc alive for Great Britain. A hold for the O-line. Much needed in the second half.
Unbelievable catch there in the back of the end zone after Hanton's great catch. Brilliant play from the GB team, showing they're not going to go down without a fight. Even though that was just a hold, that's a lot of momentum, I think, for the GB side. Just having your players make great plays like that.
Very zippy inside shot from Hyde. And great determination by Naden.
That's one of the plays of the tournament, I think. Just really threw her body at the disc.
Well, she's had plenty of time this season to perfect her layout form on a very enjoyable surface. She's been playing, as we mentioned previously, for the European Beach Ultimate Championships, one of the captains of the mixed squad that took away a bronze medal. And with plays like that, we can see exactly why.
Yeah, great form on sand, turf, or grass, no matter the surface.
Well, this ain't grass. This is bizarre, rubber crumb, fluffy, weird surface, but they'll dominate it all the same as we see Great Britain coming out in another zone look, trying to shut down the offense of Finland, and there is a complete miscommunication between the handler set. Can they convert the defense? Galani to Sham. Just going up into space, Denniston on that far side. Staying out of trouble. Back to Sham. Denniston up the line. Not great continuation, but that's a great grab from Hannah Brew. And GB bring it back to level 10 apiece between them and the Finns. A nice little hug there to celebrate.
Denniston adds an assist to her 3 goals. That was a fantastic around flick. The left-handed player playing sensation. You saw there, I was wondering why she was in the handler set. I was thinking, get Denniston in the end zone. We can see her do the give-go here. Just drives at the field. And gives it that initial fake to draw the mark over, opens up the break side, just puts it out there. Great goal.
Yeah, not perfect, but puts it nicely out into the space for Hannah Brew. Should have to make quite an effort to reel it in, but probably wise, considering she was being marked by Vestman. And just a little skip there from Brew after the score.
Has down on the roster here that Lady Denniston is a pilot.
I mean, I could believe that. She's pretty good in the air.
Yeah, I'm for it. Hopefully not for Ryanair if I was to.
Now we've got some excellent, I would say, fake facts on the roster sheet from GB. We won't be sharing too many of them, but maybe on social media later we'll bust out a few. As we see Finland's O-line coming out nice and strong to start, and a big put to Maya Leno. Oh, she's so free. Wharton got caught sleeping there. An easy score for the Finns, keeping their lead alive. They are ahead this game, charging up 11-10.
It's actually Maya Leno's first goal of the game, which is surprising. Usually it's her investment racking up the stats. But yeah, again, when Finland, it seems like their backs against the wall, they go to the traditional offense of the SE Incan buttery backhand boom.
You can see some broken coverage, a nice switch, but a little bit too late in terms of communication for Great Britain, as Leno just powered past. I think it was Coman that was her original assignment.
To me, I feel like GB should not be forcing Finland backhand. She definitely prefers that one going deep. Inkanen, we saw a turnover and a flick actually outside the end zone. Good at the crossfield flicks as well, but maybe even just a flat force on Inkanen. But she had a lot of time and space to wind up that backhand tuck.
So Finland still lead, but by the very tips of their fingers. Swinging around the back for the handler set of Great Britain. Punches into the centre for Naden. Kantorovic lasers it nice and flat inside channel to Vix Wilby. And it's a nice little piece of offense. A couple of passes makes easy work. Not quite the boom of the Finnish offense, but effective. Ties it back up at 11 apiece.
Yeah, smooth and silky offense there from the GB side. Victoria will be getting her first goal of the game. And that was all just attacking the break side. Well, you can see the Finnish players actually, look, you can see them standing off quite far from their matchup, trying to poach in the lane, and definitely poaching on the open side at times, that allowing for that inside channel. And once you have one of those throws off, if you look for that inside again, often you'll find your receiver in space.
Let's get another look at that channel of offense. A nice rolling inside from Naden, and that just beautiful flat flick from Saskia Kantorovic. I'm a big fan of that throw.
I don't have it in my arsenal, not gonna lie.
Do you not, Liam?
No, I've stopped throwing inside flicks entirely and retired to lefty backhands, which I think are very well in a shorter distance. Obviously, that one is where you want the inside flick. But it requires too much pivoting for me.
They got the old man legs.
Yeah.
Although you did get a big compliment from the Russian women's head coach, didn't you, earlier this tournament? He said he was upset to not see you on the field.
Yeah, I was equally surprised as you were at the that was way back in, I think, 2015, where we played against the Russians on beach, which is my surface. Definitely not the surface of the sun, which is where we're playing now. This would be not my ideal conditions, but now the shot to Vestman.
Oh, and she's going to be way out in front. You see the height difference as Avril Hunter sits on the shoulder but isn't able to pressure Vestman enough at all, and that was a beautiful huck.
Vestman runs like she's angry at the ground. It's terrifying when she goes deep. She's so powerful and just, I think, intimidating on this Finnish team, and rightly so. She's a very, very good deep player. Look, there's not a lot of separation, and she's just gone.
Well, with the stature, especially being marked by Hunter, if Avril is out in front, then I do back her to get in body in the way, but when she's on the back shoulder, she doesn't really just have enough reach to really cause Vestman much of a problem. Especially when you can throw it out perfectly like that. At no point did Vestman ever slow down. She was in sixth gear, going full speed ahead the whole way down as she chased that into the end zone for the score. Finns still in the lead. They hold on 12-11.
And I know the Eurostars tour coming up pretty soon. of all the players that didn't make the team, I don't know how it was picked or what was chosen. One person I would have liked to seen on that roster is Vestman. There isn't any Finnish team. Finland have proved to be one of the top nation in women's ultimate in Europe. Is there anyone else you'd like to see that hasn't played for the Eurostars yet across Europe, Hannah?
I would say, I'll have to be honest with you, completely honest with you, Liam. I'm not going to say anything right this moment, but I'll tell you later on in play, because I just need to check who has previously played it, because it usually clashes with our UK domestic season, so I'm not always au fait with who has played. But I tell you what, I'm a big fan of that grab by Rupal Galani. Wilson finds Kwan around. Big backhand breaks for the GB women right now. Galani looks a little bit lost for options. Wilson coming down through. He's going to call a foul there, saying that Jokinen was a wee bit too feisty with the body contact running through. Seemed like she was fairly far out in front, but obviously the collision happening before she came on shot.
Initially, to me, that looked very clean. There was definitely not a lot of contact. Maybe they clashed arms and Wilson then pulled out, but I was surprised to see that call.
Well, Caitlin Wilson very unhappy about it, looking from the body language and the way the two players are discussing. Great attack regardless from Annie Jokinen. Disc will go back, still be on a fairly high stall. So we're saying not many options available to Great Britain right now. Finn's doing a fabulous work on match defense. Galani's going to put a hammer over the top. That's a sensational bit of offense from the young player. Denniston, the lefty. Nice toss out to the space. Kwan sends her mark flying with that backhand fake. Wilson putting out to Kwan, and that's a score for Great Britain even, not Great Britain. Keeping us in even Stevens, 12 apiece as we approach the business end of this game.
Yeah, lots of grit in this British side, fighting hard. This is a fantastic matchup. I was so happy to see it when this game got announced in the women's power pools. We've had some less tight battles on the showcase field, but we're getting into the power pool stages of the tournament where all games are going to be fantastic, just like this one. For any British fans watching, we'll have GB Mix taking on Sweden Mix, I believe, in the other stream game on the fancied stream. So be sure to subscribe and check that out. I'll be on the call there, I believe, with Joanne Hamer.
Indeed you shall, Liam. It should be a spicy game. Lots of, so the way we're, a little bit of background behind the scenes information for the viewers at home. We are allocating our game assignments. There's a bit of, people are allowed to choose which are their most favorite games that they want to do most. And that's definitely one of the favored picks for today. Lots of people wanting that assignment for sure. So it should be a good one. Make sure you tune into that one. It'll be in the stadium field, I believe. But right now, we have a spicy battle between the women of Finland and the women of Great Britain. Vestman, Grananen. Nice upline, little skid there from the receiver. Pressed onto that far side. Good little bit of footwork, keeping it in bounds. Vestman up the line. Smothering defense, there's Fisk there, but a good reach in front from Rekola. Tosses it up to Enkinen. Really pressed on that far side. There's a pick call on the field.
And we are at 85 minutes on the game clock. These are 100-minute games, if I'm not wrong, Hannah. So we'll see how long this one goes out to. I think one of the teams will reach 15 before we run out of time. That is a classic crossfield finish blade.
Leno with the disc on the end zone line. She's going to put up a high one, and it is reeled in perfectly. A great shot into the end zone, snagged by Maria Noppanen. Not seen much of her this game. Great to see her now getting on the field. Perhaps one of the players they might be resting. Not the biggest squad of either side. In fact, GB are one player fewer than the Finns.
Interesting to see if teams change tactics if they're on the stream. I was talking to Irish women who played the Ukraine on one of the streams earlier, and they said they just changed their offense completely. Didn't want to show anything on the live stream. Didn't play a lot of their defensive zones. I wonder if the teams here are thinking that as well, particularly with this one being the people's stream, the free stream. A lot of people, if they're in this power pool, are going to watch this, try and judge their tactics.
Well, I don't think the stream being free will have anything to do with the scouting of the games. I'm sure the coaches and players can afford fancy subscriptions, hopefully between, you know, not just one between the whole team, you know, support the work that we're trying to do here in terms of bringing you high quality streaming for your viewing pleasure. So Finland still in the lead, they hang on, but GB biting at their heels as they come out on offense. Jokinen, she's certainly not had many points off the field today. We've got some cloud cover now, so the conditions significantly cooler than it was at the beginning of this match. So we see Kwan going up high, just being sure, Naden in the center of the field. To John. Hunter far side, smothering Mark, lots of contact there. Disc rescued by Lucy Hyde of Smog Ultimate fame, playing the World Championships last season with the mixed division. Kwan puts it out to space, but will be completely taken apart by Jokinen. Keely finds near side target. Good work up the line, Martus. Jokinen into the space, lots of momentum. She launches it immediately. Just a bit of eye contact with the receivers, and again, Hurst going up high above the pack. I think she makes enough contact with the disc, and it topples to the ground.
Yeah, we call that one a hospital pass, just a very hopeful hook. And we can hear the Finnish crowd in the grandstand here supporting their women's team. I believe that is members of the mixed and men's team. Unfortunately, no GB sides here. I know the GB mixed side is getting ready for their game in just a few moments. That's probably the reason, but I always find the team with the loudest sideline have an advantage.
Avril Hunter lashing it deep to Rachel Naden. No errors there. Little jog back to the front line. Rest of the red shirts flooding through. Hyde looking for Kwan, she dishes it in front, and Kwan lays out for the score, keeping it alive for Great Britain. Their hopes in this game.
Fiona Kwan, take a bow. That was a sensational play. Her and Naden have been on fire. This game is going down to the wire, folks.
So that brings us back to 13-all. Phenomenally exciting stuff here in this women's power pool match. This is what we came to see, Liam. Fiona Kwan there with the great layout grab. Doesn't care at all about getting rubber crumb burn on her thighs in those short shorts.
I think this is one of the opportunities where I think you should use the lefty backhand, which has now almost become vital for all players to have. That flick, I think in those short spaces, a little harder to execute. I think you get a little more touch on them with the lefty backhand. What's your thoughts on that? Is that in your arsenal, the lefty backhand?
It can be. I'm not used to using it in a game scenario. We've certainly seen in the Czech-Netherlands game yesterday, lots of offhand backhands from both sides. But Hyde is pretty much legendary for her flick. And a little bit out in front, but effective for the GB offense. So forcing middle a Great Britain, seeing the match defense and hearing them calling the force repeatedly. Renanen cross to Leno. to Inkinen. Very loose force from Brittain.
Yeah, I think it's a force, not Huck in this situation. Everyone else is forcing middle, but we don't hear anything when Inkinen has it. It's stop her throwing deep, I think, is the tactic there.
Inkinen. Again, very flat force from Van Krieken. Leno. Up line to Inkinen. Again, lots of momentum, but no one cutting into the deep space upfield. Westman has Leno available around on the near side. Pops it back into the hand of Inkinen. Furious cutting from Rekkola to Westman. Again, the Finns playing so conservatively right now, not wanting to risk it. Peeling off the back of the stack goes Leno, and that is a great connection. Those two finding each other once more to take this game to 14-13.
Yeah, game point now to Finland. I really hope this game goes to 14-14.
It would be a shame not to.
Yeah, it's the best you can hope for in a game of Ultimate if it goes down to the wire like that. You see GB with the force middle on defense, which I think is actually a good strategy. But I was always expecting that's the throw they're going to go for. The arcing, either flick blade or backhand blade, have to go over the stack a lot of the time if you're throwing deep or to the end zone. But throwing with no fear here, Essi Inkinen.
And there you see Hannah Brew takes her eyes off Leno for just all of 1 or 2 seconds. A wily cutter. Leno sat back in the hand space beginning of this game, Liam. Had a bit more of a chill time, working it through the short spaces. But towards the end of this game, we've seen the bigger connections for the Finnish women, really opening up those hips and striding deep to great effect. So DB's O-line now, their turn on offense. They need to hold this one to keep the dream alive. After having broken Finland so many times, find themselves trailing in these very late stages. Hyde finding Wharton upfield. Naden cutting deep, Hunter under. But Wharton forced into taking the handler reset. Kwan with a great grab under hot pressure from the Finnish defense. Naden sent to the field. Finds Hyde poached off, back to Naden, good give goes. Oh, and a big bit of contact there. Number 62, Furka Elenius, who incredibly we found out earlier. How old is she, Liam?
I believe she's 39, is that what we established?
Incredible, 39 years old and running around with these 20-something-year-olds like it ain't no thing. So call on the field, this will come back. Downfield players just arranging themselves appropriately. I don't know about you, Liam, but I'm on the edge of my seat right now. In fact, I've actually stood up and I'm pacing.
Yeah, tension building in this game.
Naden lashes it deep, but it's nowhere near any of the intended targets. Jokinen's there instead. Opportunity now for Finland to see this game out. The big huck goes up. Lots of bodies underneath it. Great play from Great Britain to keep their hopes alive. Another hospital pass from Finland doesn't go their way this time, Liam.
Yeah, I feel this D-line doesn't have the big stars on it. They've rested a lot of top players in case it goes to universe point now. They're hoping it won't, but I think that's probably a good defensive strategy from the Finland D-line, is huck and hope at times.
And we see Rachel Naden take a lot of contact again from Furka Elenius.
Yeah, still playing Ultimate like it's 2007.
So, seeing GB now coming out in what was a side stack look, trying to isolate players upfield. Hunter unable to get her hands around the disc that sailed too far. Needs to set the force on Jokinen, who calls a timeout. This time she does have one available. We haven't seen the time cap expire just yet, although we are 5 minutes short of doing so. So, an opportunity now for both teams to have a little think about how they're performing in these very, very last stages of this women's pool play match.
And the first thing both teams brought onto the field when the timeout was called was coolers. They have these mist guns, which are probably sold out of all the garden stores around the place. Everyone taking the opportunity to cool down, get hydrated. You feel that's nearly more important in these timeouts. It used to be often you think it's a time to change tactics, but it seems to be a time to get your head in place to cool down.
Well, I've just noticed, Liam, a bit of interest. The number 27 for Great Britain, that'll be Helen Roberts of Reading Ultimate fame's not playing, sporting a little compression sock around her right ankle, so it looks like she's out with an injury. GB will be missing her. She's a very talented cutter. But what a moment we have in front of us, Liam. Finish opportunity to see out this power pool match. So hotly contested, great plays from both sides.
Yeah, whoever ends up winning this game, kudos to both these teams. They're both going to make the bracket play, so I feel like in these pool stages of the women's division in particular, it's not all really relying on how you fare at this stage, but you want to get the win, you want to get potentially the easier quarter or pre-quarter.
Yeah, it's all about giving yourself a more pleasant journey into those top spots. But doing the work here really pays off later. Yeah,
you think so, but actually the women's division is quite well spread. You can still find yourself in a very similar quarter-final situation, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if either team lost here, and they can be proud of how they played, giving us a great show here on the live stream.
Doing it all for the fans then, all for the fans. Still though, in theory, give yourself the easier game. Certainly if you can top the pool, then you'll give yourself an immediate quarter-final placement without having to go through that pre-quarter game, be a wee bit fresher, which for these both relatively short squad sizes could be key. So, Jokinen centres back. GB choosing to completely ignore the dump. Obradskova on the disc. GB forcing towards the centre of the field. Sariola. Nice big backhand. And a great piece of footwork, is it? No, not quite. Disc is out of bounds. Not able to be reeled in by Koshenovo, sorry. Or Koshenovo? You'll have to forgive me. Some of these names are more difficult to read than others on our roster sheets. So Hyde bringing us back in. GB with their opportunity to keep this one alive. Hanton into Naden, has Wharton available deep. High pressure from the Finnish defence. Kwan, the Iceni captain. Thank you, David Price, for confirming that fact for us earlier. Hyde up to Naden. Has Hunter running, and a foul's called. A little bit of a hand slap. Again, the big gloved hands of Mira Koshenovo making contact with her matchup. So two players just discussing. We'll come back in. Uncontested. So it's all reset to 0. GB nicely spread across the field at this moment. It's back in play. Naden eyes up the shot to the end zone. Sees Kwan. Ever so close. Oh, and a scuba! Completely miscommunicated her teammate Wharton, not expecting that throw whatsoever. Tries for a bit of flair, does Kwan, and gets denied.
Yeah, it's unlike her performance throughout this whole game. She's been so solid and steady. I just wanted to add a little flair to that downfield march, but yeah, just not on the same page as the receiver.
And so once more, Into the breach go the Finns. Hustle from Jokinen, and an error just completely bobbles the catch. Two very bizarre things starting to happen to both sides.
Let's see, Hanny, if they go for that ISO offense again, would be surprised to see it.
And there you do. Hunter at the front of the stack. Hyde being force flick, puts it up to Kwan, and she makes no mistakes this time. Hands around the disc, contact with the defender, contact with the ground, and we have a universe point situation on our hands, Liam.
This is what we're here for. This is what Ultimate is all about. What a fantastic moment. I'm so excited to see who's going to be on the line. Fiona Kwan making up for that ambitious scuba earlier. I like that shuffle step up line, the kind of the goose step. You go up line, you pretend you're going to go back around, it just continues up line again. I thought it was going to be an ISO with the front of the stack, but it is in fact Kwan. You see her there, the little shuffle, gets free, rides a bit of contact here, and does well to hold on to the disc.
Yeah, you can see there, and also the composure to switch to a single hand grip as she goes towards the floor, making sure she keeps all of her limbs intact. Clap catch layouts are not always the one. As Ravi will tell you, he's seen people do nasty, nasty things to their collarbones in that situation. But as you say, Kwan making up for her earlier error. And we have a sudden death situation. So looking at these lines, for GB, it's Hyde, Deniston, Wilson, Kwan, Kantorovic, Sham, and Gelani. For the other side, the opposition at the moment are coming out on offense. Rantanen, Renaunen, Leino, Westman, Rekola, and of course, on the far side, number 36, Noppanen. Oh, and an immediate block, going to be called involved. Westman, those long arms, very hard to get a run through without making a wee bit of contact. And of course, the player I didn't mention on that line, Inkinen trying to find Westman. Two players will have a chat about that one.
This is Finland's third universe point of the tournament already. They like to make it spicy. I was expecting Inkinen to look for Westman straight off. Thought she'd be going deep. It's an uncontested foul.
Back in play. Far side, Martus. Regularly even. Inkinen, disc in hand. No one going deep. Guess who's poaching out in that space? No other but Layla Deniston. Set a number of defensive blocks.
And an injury is called.
Who's that going down in centre?
It's Rantanen, who's going to have to come off the field.
A little bit of a hobble there. Hopefully see her recover for the later stages of this tournament. Nothing too serious. Little stumble there. I don't think she made contact with anyone, Liam.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, interesting to see GB coming out with a kind of a zone look here. Definitely Deniston sitting in the backfield, minding the house, not letting that first deep shot off to Westman. They want to take that away. And then it seems to be kind of an honest matchup in the handler set.
So Sariola coming on to replace Rantanen. A player on the stats board with 1 assist and 1 score thus far. Leino coming in close to Inkinen. Nice pop off. Repola. Repola again in the inside. Westman. This GB zone. But again, Finland happy to play conservatively. Inkinen. Great work from GB, nice and contained is the Finnish offense right now. Shots available into this shallow, deep space. Interesting to see if they can hit that with maybe an overhead.
And the Finnish side so static downfield, not giving the handlers a lot of options.
And there we see a missed connection for the Finns. This is a golden opportunity, relatively short field on that far sideline, which is, again, what we've mentioned before, where the wind is coming from on this field. Wilson looking upfield for a very long time. We need to find a reset. Around to Denniston, a huge contact from Vestman. Cheeky lefty, Saskia Kantorowicz with the score. That's a break for GB. And they take this game in emphatic style, 15-14, making great use of that error from Finland with the zone look. What a game that was, Liam. Well deserved. Fought hard by both teams. Doesn't knock them out of the pool, the bracket at the top, but that was a nail-biter all the way to the end.
Would you believe it? Fantastic shot. I'm not sure if Denniston was looking for Saskia there with a shot to the end zone, but it still counts. Always excitement in Universe Point. Glad to see it, a spirited one as well. I heard the other two maybe were a little bit more contentious, but GB with a chance now. They'll be looking to try and take top spot in this group. Could end up with a three-way tie with Germany as well. All to play. A fantastic performance from the GB women.
And I have to say, my player of the match for this game has to be Layla Denniston, getting the assist for the Universe Point with that cheeky, slightly risky lefty, some might say, but blocks are plenty to her name. You've got to give creds to some of the Finnish side as well, though. Annie Jokinen, what a workhorse that player was. She was on the field so often for the Finns.
Yeah, and it was just a great tactical move there in the Universe Point to come out and play zone. They hadn't really played all game. Bring it out in Universe, get the turn. Fantastic game. I got to run off. I got another GB mixed game coming in now, just second taking on Sweden, hoping for a similar matchup. So stay tuned for that stream as well.
Indeed, we'll be bringing you action for the last round of games. The time here is 5 o'clock. Stay with us. In 15 minutes, we'll be bringing you more action live here from the EUC 2019. I'm Hannah Pendlebury for Liam Grant. We'll see you again very soon.
Alti.tv